Hello friends and welcome back to Swedish Tales of Horror and Drama. Today I will share the gruesome story of the mail coach robbery and murder in 1854. Please click like and subscribe if you want to take part of more of this kind of material. Jonas Falk was born in 1828 in a small soldier's cottage in Habo parish in Skaraborg county. Together with his stepfather, Anders Frid, Falk robbed the stagecoach at Tunarps farm near Sandhem on a dark night in August 22nd, 1854. On the mail coach were the postman Nilssén and the driver Larsson. Nilssén, who was shot during the robbery, died of his injuries at the hospital in Jönköping 2 weeks later. Larsson escaped with serious injuries. The robbers were later captured in Stockholm and sentenced to death. Anders Frid was pardoned to life imprisonment, while Falk was executed just over a year after the crime. His grave near the place of execution is known as Falk's grave and has always fresh flowers in summer. Falk and Frid had for some time planned to rob a mail coach in order to embezzle money. In the 1850s, mail coaches still ran regular routes through the country for the distribution of mail and other consignments, including money. The mail coaches consisted of a covered wagon with a coachman's trestle and at least one uniformed and armed postman. An assistant to the postilion also always went along. The wagon was drawn by 2 horses. Falk and Frid had reconnoitred and concluded that the northbound mail coach between Jönköping and Falköping passed the farm Tunarp near Sandhem in the middle of the night, every night. The coach followed the narrow country road which is still passable today and looks much the same as it did in the 1850s. A few hundred meters north of Tunarp farm, the country road crosses an open field and there was a gate there in 1854, as it still is today. Falk and Frid calculated that they would close the gate and wedge the hasp to stop the mail coach and distract the postilions with the problem. On the night of August 22, 1854, Falk and Frid sat on guard at the gate. Falk armed with a rifle and Frid with a club. When the mail coach came rattling in the dark night, it stopped at the locked gate. When the postman Nilssén and the servant Larsson were busy with the wedged hasp, Falk and Frid rushed forward. Falk shot the postilion Nilssén in the back and Frid hit Larsson in the head with the club, so that he collapsed. Falk and Frid searched the stagecoach and found money to the value of 2,000 Swedish riksdaler, corresponding to about 145,000 Swedish crowns or 11,000 pounds in 2022. They then left Nilssén and Larsson and sped away. Larsson regained his composure after a while and managed to drag himself to the Stenliden cottage, which lay another 300 meters to the north. He raised the alarm and Nilssén was taken to the hospital in Jönköping. Nilssén lived just over 2 weeks but then succumbed to his injuries. Larsson recovered though. The picture to the left shows what the old country road at the scene of the crime looks like in modern times. It probably hasn't changed very much. On the right is the gate which the robbers wedged to stop the stagecoach. The gate itself has of course been replaced since then, but the place is remarkably similar from the mid-1800s. The robbers fled towards Stockholm. They paid a fisherman to row them across Lake Vättern and then got on the boat towards Stockholm. Once they had arrived in Stockholm, they were already wanted by the police there for other minor crimes committed earlier. The cronies had plenty of money and spread it around generously. The police became suspicious and soon they had admitted their involvement in the robbery. They were quickly transferred to the cell prison in Mariestad, which you can see on the big picture here. The penalty for robbery murder at that time was death, and both received their death sentences at the district court. However, Falk took it upon himself to murder the postilion, and Frid was then pardoned and the sentence commuted to life imprisonment. To the right here you can see a photo of Jonas Falk. At a murky November day, Jonas Falk was taken from the cell prison in Mariestad to the place of execution on Hökensås. On the day of the execution, November 21st, 1855, there were so many people on their way to see the execution that the carriage with Falk almost did not arrive. Falk then shouted, "Take it easy, my friends. Nothing will happen until I get there." Before he was laid down, he said with strong and clear voice to the crowd, "Here you see, good people, that the wages of sin is death." At noon the broad axe fell. He was buried right near the place of execution. The simple grave is marked with an iron cross in a ring of stones with the inscription Falk 1855. The strange thing about the grave is that during the warmer seasons it is always decorated with fresh flowers. This began already the day after the execution, when in the morning the grave was freshly decorated with flowers. No one knows for sure who takes care of this. The phenomenon of the flowers has become a legend, and it has been linked to haunting the place. There are stories of greasers who went there to spend the night and find out who brings the flowers there. However, the greasers had left the place in the middle of the night, so terribly frightened that they could not even explain what had happened. An explanation for the flowers has been given, which is actually characterized by some logic. The explanation states that the person who actually shot the postilion was Anders Frid. However, Frid had small children, and in order not to make these fatherless through a death sentence, Falk took on the murder. In order to honor Falk's memory and the good deed of taking responsibility for the murder, the Frid family has taken care of the grave ever since and take pride in always having fresh flowers on it. This story has not been confirmed, but those who are a little romantically inclined, like myself, may want to believe it.